Hi everybody, welcome to today's episode of Control, Alt and Compete. Today we're joined by Duncan, aka Mydylsexia. Duncan started off his career as a teacher and soon found a talent in content creation. So if you'd like to be a content creator or you'd love to hear Duncan's story, I think you're going to love this episode. Hi everyone, welcome to Control, Alt and Compete. Tonight we are joined by Duncan, aka Mydylsexia. Duncan.
Hello.
So we've not all been able to speak to each other until now.
We've
so
come in and we've sat down straight away and it's been a very quick movement, but I got to shake your hand, which is a good start.
And you like the cups?
Yes, these are simply the best. I like the design as well, it's very catchy.
So what I'd say is that's our producer Blair that made them, so I'll give him all the credit for that.
Yeah, pass on the thanks to the chef, if you will.
Yeah. I want to ask you, right, Mydylsexia, why the name?
Very good question. Obviously, a lot of the stuff I do with my brand is very much based around kind of my casual love for gaming and building communities and streaming, but it's also on the side is very much like bringing awareness to dyslexia, and it's a passive movement. Like, it's not something that I shout and blare all the time, but it's like a thing that's there threaded through what we do. So my dyslexia represents that, but originally it actually stemmed from, I used to play Rocket League with a friend of mine, and his gamer tag, his username was I think it was my autistic or my autism. And we played so often, they got to the point where I was like, well, I can't have my username as this. We've got to be the same. We're a duo here. So I didn't have autism. So I was like, well, what can I change my username to? And I went, well, I know I have dyslexia. So it originated that he was my autistic or my autism, and I was my dyslexia. And that was like the coined duo names. And then when I went to start streaming, because it was my gamer tag and that was already there, I was like, oh, it's the perfect thing to lift off one thing and put into the other. So it kind of just threaded through into me building streaming and the brand, I guess. And
that's truly authentic with what you do then.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? When did you find out you were dyslexic then?
It was because obviously will know Scottish schools. So when I say to you S1, first year of high school, I think I did a whole exam test with an expert in the school. Mm-hmm. And that was the first point where they were kind of like, okay, there's little inklings of things that maybe aren't right or you need extra support with. And then we went to a private learning support organisation, and I went and did more quizzes and tests, things like matching the missing part of a puzzle together, or mixing shapes and fractions and remembering phone numbers. And there was even an exercise where they got you to crawl on the floor. And I can't remember which version it is, but the vast majority of people will crawl either with both legs, both the same, so right arm and right leg together, or left arm and left leg together, or they might do the opposite and they go left arm and right leg together, and then right arm and left leg together. It's very confusing, but apparently...
How does somebody find that bit?
No idea.
Excellent.
Absolutely no idea. But this was their test that they were like, we'd like you to do this. And I did it. And whichever version it was, whether it was same side or opposite, I did. They were like, okay. They were like, right, let's write this down. Because they were like, okay, that's a clear indicator of your brain sends different messages to your body when you're processing information and things. It did transpire that information processing was one of the key parts of dyslexia that I need support with, if you will. So that linked together with the whole idea of how your brain and your body works in terms of receiving and sending information. Really cool.
So the reason I ask as well, and I feel like I'm comfortable to ask, is my little girl, she got diagnosed with dyslexia, but they never asked her to do that part. So I was just wondering there about that part of the test.
I have no idea the kind of ins and outs of it all. I just did tests that were set up to provide information that would then be like, okay, this aligns with natural kind of things or symptoms of people that have dyslexia, etc. And it's kind of, I imagine it's like a cross-referencing type vibe.
And did you find then, how much did that even help you into high school then? Did you find that a lot of things were easier for you going forward, or? Yes,
I would say it took about 3 or 4 years to properly find and get in a good place with my support mechanisms. But when I was in school, things like being given a reading overlay. So again, I went and did a test that basically told me that out of all the colours you can have for a reading overlay, green was my colour, and that helped my information processing because when I did reading in school, you're in an English classroom and they're like, okay, Duncan, we'd like you to read the next part, or hands up, whoever, Duncan, can you read the next paragraph? If it was on a white piece of paper, I really struggled to A, read it, and B, remember what I'd
That's fascinating.
read.
That helped, yeah.
And things like if I was to read textbooks or books, I would read like half a page of text off a white piece of paper. And if you took the book away from me afterwards and asked me what I just read, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Right.
Like the actual retention of information off white paper was horrific. And so we then transpired, I got a green overlay, and that was what helped. I had a green overlay, I had a green exam paper when I went into exams, and my reading ability was far better through using the overlay rather than having it on white paper.
I'm so happy that that's out there, because you think about all the people for the last probably 20, 30, God knows how long years have been struggling and they've had nothing but white paper.
Literally.
I'm not going to, do you know what? I'm going to ask you a quick question. I know you love Valorant and you've seen Valorant. Do you change your enemies' colours to green?
I can't actually remember what colour I have.
You have to do that then, because that makes sense.
But I'll tell you, I'll counterplay.
Go for it.
The glasses that I wear have the green overlay in them. So
awesome.
That was the next step that I went from. I think it was during my National Fives I got a pair of glasses, and that was the first step I took from having the green overlay to read to actually having the glasses that they were a little bit prescription, but the main point was I used them when I read, worked, and revised, because it had the green overlay in them. I think if you shone them up at a light, you'd be able to see the green reflection in them as well, which was...
So almost then, right, even though it was your gamer tag because of your friend, do you feel like now, in a sense, you get a lot of people speaking to you now saying, I've got dyslexia, and you feel like you're becoming almost an ambassador?
I think that was the biggest thing that shocked me, was how many people out there thought that the thing that they struggle with, they were alone with. And when I have conversations with people about, how my dyslexia started and stuff, I always remember the first couple of videos I posted that gained me a lot of followers. I think I went from 3,000 followers on TikTok to 50 to 100k on TikTok. And the biggest thing was the comments of people saying, A, I do this, and B, I thought I was the only one that did this. And immediately you have this influx of people that are realizing that they're not the only one that muck up their words or swap letters or all sorts.
They're just trying to figure their life out.
And literally, and the relatability that they had to this Mydylsexia thing that was posting videos of him mucking up his own sentences, immediately, I think that's probably why it did well, was because people related to it and so they wanted to follow along with it. And I guess now I'm in a position where we've collected all of the, maybe we haven't collected 50%, but we've maybe collected 10% of those people along the way. And we do now have a community and a group of people that resonate with dyslexia.
I bet that's a great group as well, because I think we've spoken about as well how I think it's almost can be a superpower.
Yeah.
Because I think if I've looked at, I said to my daughter, you get those graphs for a game where you can jump high but maybe can't run fast. And I said to Willow, even though you can't maybe do spelling, you've got other attributes that you like selling. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you realise that every single day you meet new people bring things to the table that you're like, I've never seen somebody able to do that, or everyone's got their own. But it's a scope. It's the way that you look at it. 100% is what determines how you get to play with it, I guess.
And have you ever had any from any kind of health organisations or any kind of charities reach out to you to say, look, we need a poster boy?
It's not always good.
Poster boy might not be the word for it, but you know what I mean. To help
no.
lead it.
I've had people reach out for good and for worse. Offering me to speak about and kind of endorse a product or a service. And for example, there was a company in America that had loads of funding for a piece of tech that was basically a pen, but it was like a computer in the pen. And when you say you were a lecturer or something and you were speaking about information, I could record it. And then when I want to go write it down and make notes on it, I could play it and it would play the audio out the pen, and then you could make your notes. And there was special paper that you could use that would allow you to write certain things and whatnot. And the whole thing was centered around helping people with dyslexia in reading, writing, and listening. And it was great, but when they went to say about the actual product and how much it was going to cost, for example, I didn't ask for a fee, because when you're working with, say, a charity or something like that, you don't tend to ask for a fee because it feels wrong, because you want to support the product and it's linked to something like dyslexia. So they were going to send me out the product to be able to use, make content on, and then promote. And the product cost like £1,600. And I was like, okay, so you're targeting it towards people in schools that will already be struggling, probably in like less financial situations, and need the support that you're giving them. So you're effectively waving something in front of their face that can help them. But for £1,600, how many of those people are actually going to be able to buy that and use it? And I was like, I actually don't want to go through with this, because I feel as if it's like waving, I don't know what the expression is, but
it's dangling a carrot.
Yeah, exactly.
And how many pure parents would want the best for their child and say, try to struggle to even get the money for that?
And I think going hand in hand with being a teacher and seeing the kind of financial situations of a lot of families, and I would say more often than not the ones that have dyslexia, that are really, really struggling and really need the help, there's often not a lot of financial support available there. And again, it's like dangling a carrot. So I was like, we've had options and we've had people come to us, but it's not always how you think it might go, you know what I mean?
I suppose even though you've had those struggles, and you know there'll still be struggles you'll get in your life, like you still went on and you go to university, and then what?
Straight into a job.
Yeah.
Did 4-year masters and then straight into probation a year, and then And
was that good?
It was interesting. The problem was that I started something that I absolutely loved and wanted to drop everything to do it. But I did it halfway through building a degree and a plan B, and so it made a lot of sense to put the head down and go and get the degree and go and do the job to get the qualification, and then once you've got there, you can do what you like. So bad timing, and also teaching is not the easiest job to go and do social media with as well. It's a very rigorous safeguarding, and
And did you find then a lot of students, when you started to take off with your streaming, they recognised you then?
I told this story on another podcast actually, which was quite funny, but the distinct story is that I was teaching I think it was an S3 class, and I took them out into the Astro. Classic PE teacher, lined them up on the white line, and one of the kids stepped forward and literally went, "Sir, are you famous on TikTok?" And hot flush, freeze, don't know what to do, panic, and I ended up just saying something along the lines of, "If you guys have any questions outside of the lesson, like I'll come and talk to you at break, but for now we're in the lesson, let's focus."
And they're all on their phone.
Yeah, literally afterwards. I had there was another
1,000 views. Yep.
There was an S6, so the last 2 years of high school, S5, S6 kids, so my senior kids walking up to me and being like, "Sir, is this you, or are you famous on TikTok?" And me thinking, "Oh my God, my life's about to end," type of vibe. But
is that the way you felt though? Did you feel like...
Because of the first time properly happening, and it was on my probation year, which was like, out of all the years, you do placement beforehand, but this is like the year that you can't screw up.
So you don't have to answer me, because obviously they were your ex-colleagues, but what do you think people that were at the school thought about the TikTok, the content creator? What did they think? I thought that people would hate on it, and people would say a lot of kind of, "You shouldn't be doing this job, you can't be doing this job if you're doing that." Yeah.
Flip side, I was in a school that was very accommodating and very supportive, and it was amazing. I would go back and say that it was the best thing that happened to me during that year of teaching.
And do you think you'd go back to the school now?
I'd like to go back to school in other ways potentially. We have conversations on stream all the time about people being like, are you going to do this or are you going to do that? And I say no, because I can't do things like that if teaching's still my plan B. There's a lot of stuff I can't do as a streamer. Like I actively choose not to swear on stream, not because I don't disagree with swearing or anything like that. It's more so of if I go back to teaching and all the kids suddenly have 10 million videos of me swearing, it's not professional, and you're not going to be able to teach a group if they've got that.
You're just giving them content to create.
Exactly. You're giving them ammunition for them to just absolutely annihilate you. So I kind of say, that as long as teaching is there in the background as a potential plan B or plan C, I will potentially go back to it. However, I think there is a line that, in terms of success with me doing streaming and content creation, there's a line that if I succeed to the point where I cross that line, I wouldn't be looking to then go into another job. I would be like, okay, I've gone as far as I can. This is absolutely a thing.
How are you enjoying then the streaming side of it, the schedule?
I feel very fortunate to know what I want to do in life. Absolutely. I absolutely love it. And I couldn't think of a scenario or a world where I'm not doing it to some degree.
And how are you enjoying the Valorant grind then? You seem like you're having a lot of fun. I was watching today. You know, my producer and I we were in the office and I was watching, and you're dying, but you're still enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. There's days that are harder than others, but like we know that we're not playing the game professionally, and we know that people don't come to watch the streams for us to play well. So there's no point in me focusing and hyperfixating on me playing well or not playing well or dying or losing. So we just try and make it entertaining and have fun with it. And I think that's what people in the chat and in the stream do as well. They enjoy the kind of ups and downs and emotional turmoils of the actual game.
That's what Valorant needs though, because so many people are very sweaty and very aggressive on it. My wife's one of them.
You can say that about a lot of games in fairness, but
it's so intense with Valorant.
it is, to be fair.
Because one person dies, that's it. It's going.
It's very true. It's a very intense environment, but I think that's what it provides. Is it provides a kind of mass mix of, you know, tense clutch moments where everyone's holding their breath in the stream and they're watching, and then there's also funny moments or chaotic moments, or, you know, it provides such a multitude of things to keep you entertained rather than just you're there to play well.
And so for all the Valorant fans that are watching, what kind of characters do you like playing then? Agents do you like?
So there's different categories of agents. Right now there is a character called Clove, and they are a smoker, and they're voiced by somebody called Isla, who's also from Edinburgh, and Clove is Scottish, so it's good fun to kind of tune into and milk the Scottish kind of opportunity there with the actual.
It's good that, what did you say, my wee pet rock? What was it she said?
Yeah. I think I've lost my wee pet rock.
Yeah.
She has so many good voice lines that you hear it and you immediately say it, and then everyone in chat's like, oh my god. Yeah.
And so what rank are you now then?
I just D-ranked today, which isn't ideal, but I think I'm Diamond 1 just now.
Yeah, that's good. I
It's
just got to Silver 2.
Listen, everyone starts somewhere.
I have been at Gold, but my wife would say that she carried me there. But anyway, I'm now at Silver 2.
You got to let her have that if that's the truth.
I do. She's such a bad loser. She would beat you at 100 metres, and at the end of it, she'd laugh at you because you wouldn't bet yet. She was...
Competitiveness is a good thing, though. I like that.
Between couples.
Yes, I'm sure it keeps things nice and fiery.
So when you say we, is there a collective? Have you got a good group around you? Like, is that your community when you say we? Or?
Yeah, it's actually something I realised the other day, is that I use we a lot because I think I just refer to this like brand and this group that the kind of movement that we're doing, or the project that we're doing. It's a we, because realistically, without the stream or without the people watching, I am nothing, in a kind of brutal way. And they do so much to help me that it's natural for me to talk about it as a we, because that's just who we are. Like, we're doing it together. Sometimes it's accurate to say I when I'm talking about Duncan, or I'm talking about like a specific scenario, but we as a collective kind of term, I think, encompasses like the group that we're doing and everyone together really nicely.
And do you have your own Discord channel then?
Yeah. Discord's it's such a niche thing, but it's such a good thing. Before I started doing streaming, I never used Discord, and I created it and just was like, I'll create it, but I'm not going to use it. It's not for me. And now I spend many an evening during the week playing with these losers that we call our friends on the internet. You know what I mean? It's an interesting progression that I've changed.
And so what other games do you think? Do you feel you're like a variety streamer, would you say? Would you say
I call myself a seasonal streamer, because I have a slightly addictive personality, in that I'll get addicted to a game and I'll play it and play it and play it, and then I'll eventually move on. So I don't think Valorant is necessarily end game for me, but you know, if there's reasons for it to become end game, like getting involved with the actual like Riot and things like that, I would absolutely say it is end game. But right now I'm a Valorant streamer, and then on Sundays we play story games, because there's a lot of people in the community that come for the Val, come for the gameplay, come for the community, but they love a story game, and on a Sunday it's nice to sit with like a hot cuppa or something and watch a story game and enjoy it.
And what story games have you been playing recently?
So right now we're playing God of War, which I played it on Sunday, and it's out on PC, and I was absolutely hooked. I'm a bit of a fiend for mythology and Greek mythology and whatnot, and so this encompasses, I think it's like Greek mythology and Nordic mythology or something, so it's so cool. Other games have been What other games did we play? Oh, my memory. If I think of them as we go, I'll.
You tried like Red Dead Redemption?
So I've heard Red Dead Redemption being a number one. I've not played it yet.
You should try it.
Yeah,
it's good fun.
100%.
Yeah, I think everybody would love watching you fall off your horse. There's a lot of good comedy moments in that as well.
Very true, very true. I agree with that actually.
So how do you find entertaining when you're doing a single player? How do you find actually entertaining with the chat at the same time as possibly getting caught with your, like I'd be like this.
Yeah.
Your tongue out, really not realising you're just getting engrossed in the game.
It's a different environment because it's not like I have my rhythm on Val where I play the round and then after I've done with the round I talk to the chat, and it's a kind of like switcheroo type system or process. Whereas with a story game you're kind of always watching the story. And I guess recently it's kind of the people watching get very attached to certain characters in the game. And so sometimes you have this hilarious kind of process of them making lots of comments about the characters, or even we played one game where there was lots of different characters, and there you could make choices which would lead to different outcomes. So it's like a kind of domino effect. And we ended up naming characters in the game after people that were watching and our close community. And we had, for example, like someone like Loz and Rory, who were a couple, and I think Loz cheated on Rory in the game, and Rory could then make a decision to either cut her off, hanging off a cliff and let her die, or not. And Rory then asked him in chat, was like, Rory, what do you want to do? Do you want to cut a rope or do you want to pull her back up? And he was like, nah, she cheated on me. I'm going to cut the rope. So she then fell.
See, that sounds good.
Which is a fun, I didn't intend on it happening, but it was a funny way for that to kind of come about and get people interacting with the stream. And it was hilarious.
So what other kind of ideas do you think you'd go forward with then? So if you're doing the kind of multiplayer, how often do you stream a week then?
5 times a week, 2 days off, 4 or 5 hour streams.
Yeah, that's quite a lot.
I think I could definitely do more. There's people out there that, one of our friends, he gets, most of his content is out of doing well in the game. And so he streams long hours to be able to get the good clips, otherwise he's got no content. So
So when you're playing it then, say you do a good kill, how do you sit and note it down when that was, or do you remember?
I have a button on my stream deck that places a marker in the stream. So then when I go afterwards, I can go to my Twitch VOD and I can click a button and it'll show me the video and it'll show me all the little times I press that button and the marker, which then obviously associates with something that I then want to clip. And then I just make the clip, upload it, and then I can download it.
So 5 hours a day streaming, how long do you think you spend at night potentially creating the content and clips?
People don't realise that.
I seen when you're, I think on X you tweeted out something like 2 hours for like a minute clip, even less than that.
That was even like not a crazy amount of time to spend on a video as well. Like I literally went to the cafe, was sat on my laptop, and I spent 2 hours just making this 1 minute video that I think maybe got like 1,000 or 2,000 views at the time. And it was like, people don't realise when you say that you stream for like 4 hours a day or whatever, like people don't realise that in the morning you're spending like 10 o'clock till 2 doing all your editing and your admin, and then after stream you're messaging. Like there's so much, it's a constant. The only time you're really not working is when you sleep, and that is generally not an exaggeration. Like I'm not trying to back myself and glorify what I do, but like it is just not just the stream, you know what I mean?
And you are the star of the show. If you don't do it, it's not happening.
Well, true.
Is that?
It's true in a way, yeah. But like I said, like I love it so much that it never feels like work.
And do you think that's what you like? Do you think that tickles your brain, all these different elements you're doing and all these different parts of it? That's what keeps you, that's why you love it so much?
I love it. There's just so many things to think about, so many things always going on. There's always like a project or a thing you're creating, and it's like the ceiling in comparison to, say, me doing teaching. If I was doing teaching, I would start at a base salary and I could either go for a promotion for PT of my department, or I'd have to go for like, maybe after 10, 15, 20 years, you'd be going for like a deputy or a head role of a school. It's like the options for me, the ceiling is just non-existent. Anything that you want to go and do is there to be able, like, to go and challenged. And if you want to go and do something, you can just go and try and do it. There's so many things that, if I look at myself where I am just now, okay, and I'm here, there's so many things that are in the space for me to get to here that I could be going and doing and trying and learning, but there's never a day where you're like, okay, I've got nothing to do today.
And who do you look up to then? Who would you say? Obviously, you've kind of came into this and you've rolled with it. I can't imagine you started it because you've seen somebody, you thought, was great at it. I think you've probably went your own journey with it, right?
Bit of both. There was I used to watch Twitch streams while I worked because I always didn't like the idea that if I'm watching a YouTube video while I work, the whole of the YouTube video is all the good bits. So I'm always wanting to watch the YouTube video. Whereas with a Twitch stream, if I'm watching an Apex game, there might be a battle that happens and I turn and watch. And then in the period that it takes them 5-10 minutes to get from rotate across the map to the zone, I'm not going to want to watch that. So I just put my head down and I work. And then, I hear a battle, I can watch again for a bit. And it's a nice little kind of like, that was how I got work done. And obviously by doing that, I started following streamers, and the were streamers that I was like, I want to have that 10 viewers and that'd be so cool. So there was definitely people, but I feel as if I'm on a very different path now, that I feel experienced in my position, but I also feel very inexperienced in my position. There's a lot of stuff that I'm still very new to, and in a weird way, because you are the person at the top, there's nobody that you can go to above to go and have the conversations with to ask for, well, you can ask for help, but it's a weird scenario, I'd say.
And so here's one. So today we're watching you earlier on as well. So you're on Twitch, and then you're also on TikTok. Where else do you stream to at the same time? And is it just those two channels?
Just the two channels for now, in fairness. I've always thought about potentially doing YouTube, but for now, in terms of the weight it puts on my PC as well as the amount of people you might have on YouTube, it makes sense to do the two streams, and then if we have an opportunity to bring YouTube into the picture, I probably would.
And so therefore, when you're doing it then, so if you see the chat coming up on Twitch and you're replying to that one, do you see the chat at the same time?
Yeah. It's, again...
How many play Valorant at the same time?
It does seem insane, and I live with two boys, and in previous times I've been living with other boys as well, I've got them to sit down. I used to do a thing called Flatmate Takeover, where they could redeem me like 15,000 of their points. And I'd go and grab someone like Dave, who I was living with, and I'd be like, right, they've redeemed it, can you come and stream for me? And he'd be like, okay. He sits down in the chair and he'd play COD or whatever. And after like 5-10 minutes, they're like, I'm goosed. I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't know how you're able to fixate on so many things and keep playing the game. And there is a lot going on, but you do it day in, day out for 4 hours for so long that it becomes so natural. You know where to look. You know how long you should be looking at a message for before getting back to the game. Like, it's so natural to me, but I do understand if I was to put a randomer in my seat, I don't think they'd be able to do it.
No, but that goes back to the superpower. It's probably why.
Maybe, I don't know. I purely think it's the amount of times that I've done it has made me okay at being able to do it. Like, I think anybody could get to that position, but they wouldn't. If you just plonked them down, it'd be a lot.
Cool. Right. Well, I think, Duncan, it's been amazing to speak to you, and yeah, I think if I could get up a couple of levels, can I play Valorant with you? Would that go all right?
That sounds like a plan.
My wife, she'll probably join your stream pretty soon. She's that good at it. But no, thank you very much.
I'll hear all the stories of how you guys have been getting on in your games through.
I'm getting better. I don't peak. I'm trying to work on my movement, but yeah.
You're saying all the right things to me.
Thank you. See, talk with Paul, but I'm just I. And then somebody says to me, "Stream, what age are you?" Like, yeah, I'm 44. You're like, oh, you're wow. I'm like,
no.
That's what happens. Sometimes you say, what, you are married? Yeah, you got kids? Oh, and you're like, oh my God, yeah.
The young people it's a very hit or miss community. You can either have some people that are going to give you a lot of stick, or you can have some people that are going to be
I'll give it back, it's fine.
That's good.
It's all good fun.
As long as they're put in their place, I think we're happy.
Absolutely. It could be wittier than half the people anyway, so it's fine.
Exactly. Keep it right.
Thank you very much, buddy. Pleasure.
You're very welcome. It's been very nice. It's a good chat to have, and I'm glad we get to actually openly talk about your stuff, because it's a very useful and educational.
Oh, it's close to my heart, and I think it's great that, like, once again, you're taking the mantle for it, you're running with it, and you're supporting. You can talk about it, and if folk can get help from that, that's great. That's what it's all about.
The more, the merrier.
Absolutely, yeah.
Genuinely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, buddy.